Hello everyone, it is January 3rd, 2019. If you pulled up this video, you likely got a business card from me that has the same photo on it. This is going to be my introduction video to my YouTube channel. I probably should have put one of these out a few months ago when I was in Israel, but this channel has expanded and I figured it's probably time to put out a bit of a mission statement and explain exactly why I'm actually doing this channel. You can see the posting here. I've got a picture of a 400-year-old painting called The Glorification of the Eucharist. It was done by a man named Ventura Salimbeni in 1595. And as you can see, there's something very enigmatic being grasped by the individuals depicted in this painting. You can clearly tell on the left that that is Yeshua, Jesus Christ. And on the right, most people are going to infer that that is the Hebrew father of the Bible. And nothing could be further from the truth. That is actually Satan. This painting came to me at just the right time because when I saw it, I knew exactly what it was conveying and I knew it'd be perfect for my channel. It has everything to do with my life and the murder of my sister 18 years ago. And I know that sounds a bit mysterious, but as you watch these videos, it's going to become clearer as to what is being foreshadowed by this painting. And in a very short period of time, this is going to be affecting the lives of everyone worldwide. So I'm just going to start by moving forward with the title of my video. Two men sitting at a cafe table next to yours plotting your... Imagine one day you're at a cafe, sitting down, maybe watching a YouTube video or reading a newspaper, and a couple of gentlemen sit down at a table next to you and order a cup of coffee, and maybe the one lights up a cigarette. And they begin a conversation in a language you're not familiar with. Little do you know, they are sitting there plotting your... and occasionally looking your direction while they do. They may even smile occasionally. You smile back having absolutely no clue what's going on. They speak loud and clearly, and yet the reason you know nothing and are at a huge disadvantage is that you don't speak their language. So this entire series is going to be about teaching you the language of an enemy. It is the enemy that took the life of my sister 18 years ago. And as we move through this series, I hope you can learn that there's something much greater going on in the world than what most of us understand, and that our lives are about to change forever. A year ago, I was completely asleep to this, and my entire life had never made sense to me until the last 12 months, and then it came into perfect clarity. So as we move forward, I hope you can learn this language as well. Because if you do, you're going to discern everything around you with different eyes. I'm going to briefly cover a few points again quickly that I covered in my testimony video. This time involve some photos that I've got stabilized, and they'll be able to be seen a little bit better than the first time I did my videos because I hadn't learned how to use my camera properly at that point. So I'm just going to go forward and do something that most people don't do. This is me. I went ahead and put some tape over my ID and used some marker to hide who I exactly was, but I do have to give a bit of an indication who I am in association with other people so that this will make some sense. You can see my first name, how it's listed right there, and you can also see my last name with my first initial and my last, and you can also see the date of my birth right here. This is the cemetery in which my sister has been buried. You can see I've done sort of the same thing. You can see her initials right here. I blocked out some of the essential stuff because I'm trying to keep our family's identity a bit of a secret. On the back of her headstone, I put a dedication to her life, and I put my name down there at the very bottom. And this is a picture of my sister on the locket on her headstone. She was 29 when she was murdered. I had to pull up a picture online of what had been in the paper. So what I ended up doing was the same strange thing. I put some Scotch tape over my lens of my second phone and used some marker to hide some of the details I wanted to keep hidden. Nonetheless, I did want to show the name of the man who had done this. And I wanted to again show her age and show the date in which her body had been pulled out of the river. That date is actually very important. I didn't realize what it was until I started actually looking again this year specifically because I started having some deep suspicions about that time of her death, and they were validated for me. So it turned out she was pulled out of the river on this specific date, which was what I was looking for. So this is some of the information that is regarding the group that took her life. This is what happened to her, as well as this. So this is a cult ritual, and this is the group that took her life. And again, this number is something I show in my series again and again and again, and it is embedded in the Bible. It's code. Again, we have more discussion about what is done. This is another photo I took. It came from the Hutchinson News. It was regarding the burial of my grandmother. Nonetheless, it does show some of the information that I wanted to show. This is my mother. Again, first and last initial of the name, her married name, which my sister and I shared. These are a couple of my aunts. This is one of my aunts, and we were in discussion regarding a video I had sent her, which showed a white orb that had been above the Dome of the Rock back in 2011. And there was always a story in my family about a large orb that had appeared above the burn trash pile that was out in the field that was adjacent to the farm in western Kansas where my mother was raised. My two aunts woke up one night and they saw this large orb hovering, and this was us in a discussion again. So I had sent this video on to my aunt to see what she had to say about it. Now, there is something underneath that small town in western Kansas that's been brought up through different journalist articles. And again, you can see what's here, what's been discussed. And the Hutchinson News brought it up. They're bringing up the fact that at this point already people were aware that there was something going on. It was a bit of a hotbed activity. There was a man here that was murdered in 1996 because he released the information on these bases. This was one of them. And I'm going to go into a lot of information about this in my series. You're going to see a lot of this come up. This is a Soviet map from 1973 that discusses the bases that were underneath the United States known at that time. And again, this has been picked up by others that are interested in what this is about. I did show here basically my mother and I carry implants in our forearms. When I was heading to Israel, I was pulled back by security and they wanded my forearm, which had me a bit paranoid, but they waved me on. And you can see the scar that is right here to here. And it's a well-known implant tracking site. So this woman apparently must have had her split. She probably moved her forearm within the next few days after it had been placed, and it probably tore the underlying tissue and widened the scar. So anyway, there's my pictures. My mother also has one right there, as you can see. So back to those two men at the table plotting your murder and learning the language they speak. What I'm basically going to do in this very first video is try to show you connections that are between what is here, because most people are not going to be able to reconcile, if you're a person of faith, which I am, with what is coming in the following years. And this is part of a deception that's been going on. I'm going to show the mission statement that I put written at the, it's basically on my YouTube videos, but most people probably don't open it. I will show that at the very bottom as well. So we're back to these two men again. This is going to be a language of hand signs, symbols, numbers, and iconography. The Tower of Babel, it's a tale in the Bible about the scattering of languages. And believe it or not, a year ago, I was agnostic. I did not believe any of this at all. I was walking the world like everyone else. However, I'd had a past that made no sense to me. And I began digging for $7 trillion of federal budget monies. And in my journey, I came across so many things that made no sense. But it goes to the bed of the organization in which I started to investigating. And doing so, I came to understand so much more. And I'm going to be bringing this organization up. This is the personification of this organization. and it's worldwide. I thought this was an old gentleman's club that had disappeared 100 years ago, and I could not have been more wrong. So I'm going to show you how these symbols are embedded everywhere in society in the most subtle ways, and most people are not aware of it. So you can see right here what looks like that same symbol. Right here you've got the arch, and of course this is supposed to be the eye of God. So we move forward here. You see the arch. You see it looks like it's a tattoo that's been extended onto somebody's arm, and it also has incorporated another tattoo design. So I'm going to turn it on its side, and it is owned by that man. Now, that would be a very strange tattoo to have on a man of God, as we know men of God are supposed to be righteous. This does not reflect anything along that same line. So, and here he is again. This is not where I want to go when I die. So interestingly enough, you've got this all associated together with one individual. When I was making out my cards, I came across this card online, and I looked, and I immediately knew what I was looking at. I was looking at this man showing that he is a part of this club. Now, this is about hidden conveyance. You can see there's nothing written about Freemasonry here at all. There is absolutely no discussion about it, but they don't use words. This is what is being conveyed. Others in the same organization know who owns this business. He's saying, come to me, and we will go ahead and take care of you. So this is always what ends up you look at and you realize something is going on. This is a secret society, and it is for a reason, because they are a society of hidden conveyance. Everything is right in your face, and yet you, as an average person walking around, are not supposed to know anything about them. So you got to ask the reason why that's the case. We also have here the all-seeing eye of providence. We have a shape here. This is the Apollo mission. I go into NASA considerably in my my series. I also make it very clear that one of the books of Revelation breaks open this organization completely, and we'll touch on that just briefly here. So this pyramid is a personification of the pyramids of Giza. Now, the Hebrew God of the Bible, Yahweh, delivers his people out of Egypt. So we have this other curious thing, with this pyramid being the personification of the pyramids of Egypt. So we have this verse in the book of Revelation 13, also the number of steps on the Illuminati pyramid regarding the number of the beast. So we have 13 steps on here. You can look at the back of your dollar bill and you will find that is the case. Actually, if you invert, which this is called satanic inversion, you'll come up with a couple different things here. I'm going to bring up the other one in more detail in my videos, but nonetheless, what it does is it activates these letters, and you'll find that these letters, when you have these corners activated, plus you have the inversion, you have Mason written out. None of this stuff's by accident, but most people are not aware of it. Now we have the Great Pyramids of Giza, and again, we also know that God delivered his children out of Egypt. We also have here, interestingly enough, I looked up because I knew what I was going to find, and sure enough it was. The pyramids were built as an equilateral triangle. So we've got, I pulled this up out of Google, what type of triangle are the pyramids? They had 3 identical triangular sides. So you start going into what's called numerology, which, again, most people would want to shy away from. They think that's a cult. But nonetheless, there is a book in the Bible called the Book of Numbers, and there are numbers used in the Bible. So we have 360-degree angles right here. Now, Chinese numerology, same thing. You drop the 0. It's unnecessary. It's the power of nothing. So take those. Now, we have this written in the book of Revelation, chapter 13. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. I point this out. I will find these numbers anywhere and everywhere, and they all are associated with things that are going on right now. I have been shown this stuff stage after stage after stage, and now I can just smell it coming. So this was something I just looked up the other day, and it was yet another one of these. I've had so many of these in this series, but nonetheless, you can see we've got, again, Egypt. Every one of these things track to Egypt. And then we have this curious description in the book of Revelation regarding human hybrids that will be attacking mankind in the last days with faces like humans and tails like scorpions. Now, a lot of people assume that this is all analogous. These are stories in the Bible, and it's supposed to mean something else. this is the terrifying thing that mankind is not prepared for. If you're a person of faith, you're likely not prepared for this because religion has taught you otherwise. We are not to be in fear, so I'm not in fear, but I am preparing myself and I'm putting on the full armor. My entire family has been exposed to things with regard to what I was showing in Kinsley. This destroyed my family's life. And so I think because I've led such a dark life, I can look at things that most people are not willing to do. And that's why I've been led on the journey that I have. So we have this. Now, what do we have in the book of Revelation? They have tails like scorpions and had stingers in their tails, faces resembling human faces. Now, what do we have going on with these ancient depictions, bronze depictions? We got right here what says a non-human hybrid appearing in ancient Egypt. Now, these are actual mythological ancient Egypt hybrids. We've got the goddess Serket in Egyptian mythology depicted as a scorpion. We have something that has long hair. We've got a human face. We've got a tail like a scorpion. This is actually in the book of Revelation, a Jewish book. This is the Bible. Now, we've got, again, another picture. Now, what do you see on her head? This is clearly Egyptian. Strange symbols in Revelation 9, like horses, scorpions, and more. Teeth like the teeth of lions. Now, we've got here a face like a horse. Now, we've got, again, there are many things that are written that are coming in the last days. We also have the Egyptian Ankh right here. Plus, we have, again, there is the same symbol. And we have the snake of Genesis. The 2,300-year-old Jewish book of Enoch tells of the human hybrids that once walked the earth. This book was key for me in reinterpreting the Bible in a very different way than traditional religion would do. Most of us walk around, if you were raised in religion, and I fell away for many years. It was the greatest gift God ever handed me because when I opened up a Bible again for the first time, I prayed for discernment, and I also wanted to see what was truly there. I didn't want to interpret the Bible through the lens of religion, which I don't. It is completely different. It is the salvation offered to us and the journey that was taken by the Jewish people are the only two authentic things that religion teaches. Other than that, you have to sit and you have to look at this book with a fresh set of eyes. And the Old Testament is usually ignored because most people find it dry and boring. I find it most fascinating because it deals with all of this. But most people have absolutely no understanding of it. Now we have these structures at Area 51. We've got the obelisk, Eye of Horus, pyramid construction. We've got this, which is a famous tattoo a lot of people are sporting on their bodies right now. All these mysterious things are taking place that are surrounding Egyptology right now in culture. We've also got it in the Bible here. Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? This is where we get into fringe theory, the Orion pyramid theory. The pyramids all on the ground seem to align to three stars. We've got Alnitak, we've got Al-Nilam, and Mintaka. Again, I go into all of this with regard to what this is about. But these pyramids all conform, and there are many around the world. In fact, they are finding pyramids under the ocean now. One was just found off the coast of Cuba just a couple of years ago. This is Satan, Hebrew for adversary in the Bible. This is the enemy of God. This is a reptile human figurine that was found in Syria. It's thousands of years old, but this was the first incursion upon mankind and the first hybrids. And you can see this clearly does not look human in origin. Now we've got ancient Egypt, and what do we have here? Now this gets into something which deals with the pineal gland and possession. But everyone's pineal gland, little do they know, but this has, again, been hidden from people. Your pineal gland is lined with photoreceptors. This is a pea-sized organ in the center of your brain, and how very interesting that it has light receptors. But nonetheless, you'll see this throughout like the Hindu culture, and you'll see this on the helmets of the pharaohs. Something has possessed this vessel. Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? This has everything to do with what has arrived above our heads now and why we are noticing Earth anomalies. I bring that up in my series. We have all of these constellations that are viewable through chamber walls. There's tiny little portals that connect all three of these to the interior of the Great Pyramid of Giza. All of these alignments. Now we've got the Egyptian wings represented right here. We also have this on a Freemason lodge. It's no accident in any of this. So this is all represented by that. These objects are being caught on camera more by the day around the world. This is appearing in the skies. I'm not sure how many people are aware of what's going on, but there's huge numbers of objects that are being picked up by people worldwide. All of these are at degree angles of 60 degrees. They're perfect triangles. Life is about to change forever for the human race, and this photo on my YouTube channel business card, as I said, it is satanic. This is the Sputnik satellite. Now take a look at what we got. Even these little ports, right down to the little button on the sphere. Boom, boom. This one is the one I think is being represented. This one is on the ground, and if you angle this just right, you're going to get just the two. Let me show you here. If you look closely at the angle of the Sputnik in the 400-year-old painting, the way it is lying between the figures would hide the second button and second set of antenna. So as you can see how all of this has been aligned. This was designed to mimic this. None of this was done by accident. This is called predictive programming. It's saying when you see this object come into being, this will be the last generation to grow old. Again, what do you got going on behind his head? This has nothing to do with Yeshua or Yahweh. This is the adversary. And the word adversary in the Bible, literally in Hebrew, means Satan. So many Christians believe the war in heaven happened in the ancient past, but they are not reading Scripture correctly. It's happening above our heads right now. The angel Michael, it said in the last days, will be knocking the devil out of heaven. We actually have right now, people are filming pyramids everywhere. This was filmed just a couple weeks ago. Where thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. The Bible says so many things that people that are in religion pay absolutely no attention to. This has happened before, and they're going to try to do it again. This was washed away in the last flood. There's huge amount of information regarding what has happened here before. Hybrids walk the earth. Skeletons are being found everywhere. So, nonetheless, this isn't going to happen. I wanted to show you this because when I came back from KCI, when I showed up at the terminal from Israel, I saw this, and I was fascinated. This is KCI Airport. The Freemasons know what has arrived above our heads. This is on the floor of the airport, and I knew what I was looking at. This is the arrival of what has come above our heads, which I cover in the series. And these are dimensional portals. The clay has arrived. This is in the book of Daniel. I, Daniel, was worn out. I lay exhausted for several days. Then I got up and went about the king's business. I was appalled by the vision. It was beyond understanding. He was shown what was coming, and he was shown what was coming upon the earth, the beings that were going to attack. It absolutely made no sense to him, and I can understand why that would be the case. The vision in Daniel 8 is appalling. The great beastly enemy of God is allowed to kill huge numbers again. So, once again, we have what is written in the book of Daniel. But don't be afraid of those who threaten you, for the time is coming when everything that is covered will be revealed, and all that is secret will be made known to all. So this is my mission statement and what this is about. And this is the videos I have out so far. I would encourage anyone and everyone to open up a Bible. You will find it is the most amazing document ever written. It's a temporal document of things to come, as well as the journey of the Jewish people over the last several thousand years. So on that, I hope you look forward to the series, and I will have another video out soon. Have a good day.